Welcome back to The Price of Business. I am your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. I got to tell you, I had fun last night doing the taping for the a new program that I'm going to be involved in. I'm going to be involved every month, at least once a month, sometimes more frequently than that, on the Adam Thompson Show. It's nationally syndicated. I think it's in like 30 markets around the country. And it was a lot of fun. He has a segment, and I think he may only do it once a month, which is why I'm on it as a panel called The Pit. And I've been asked to be a part of The Pit, and it's lightning fast, a lot of questions, very eclectic. You're really not sure what the topic's going to be. And it was a lot of fun for a lot of reasons because, frankly, he moves at such a fast rate. It required me to not be overly concerned about filtering what I say. I really worry, I think, too much about what I say, and I don't like that about myself. You know, I don't feel like my true self, and it's part of that ongoing effort to be within that, acceptable range. And the acceptable range is becoming increasingly unacceptable to me. And then second of all, I love it because I am kind of eclectic in my interest. I'm not a single issue. I'm not just a economics guy. You know, I'm not just certainly not just a tax guy or whatever. I'm pretty broad in my view, and it's one of the few forums where being a jack of all trades, policy-wise, is a lot of fun. And so it was just a great time. We had a lot of fun talking about political correct issues, talked about the presidential campaign. Everyone on the panel believed that the nominees were going to be Bush and Clinton. That was just, that was sad, even though none of the people on the panel wanted Clinton and Bush to be it. But it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to being a part of that. And I'm going to make it easy for people to find us both at usdailyreview.com, priceofbusiness.com, and, of course, at our page over at Facebook. But it was cool.
Good. When you're talking about subject matter like political correctness and what's acceptable in society, it really does make you think about your own way of expressing yourself and how you're having to now really filter what you're saying because you don't want to end up like Donald Trump. You don't want to end up saying something that then, is potentially ruinous to your business, potentially ruinous to all of your different business dealings, makes you a pariah in society. And I have this very frustrating, infuriating thing going on right now with the Dukes of Hazzard because they're getting...
You're a hardcore fan?
Well, I'm not a hardcore fan. I haven't watched them since I was a kid, but the point is I have fond memories about watching them as a kid. And I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot.
Yeah.
They weren't racists and bigots on the show, and yet they're being pulled from TV land. Warner Brothers isn't selling the General Lee with a Confederate flag on it. They've even stopped showing ads that featured, Bo and Luke and the General Lee. And it's all so ridiculous, Kevin, and it's all stemming from this political correct, really mass hysteria over the Confederate flag after the shooting in Charleston. And if you can tie the shootings in Charleston back to the Dukes of Hazzard, then, it's utterly ridiculous.
It is.
It's ludicrous. It's angering. It's maddening.
It's beyond the realm. It makes no sense. And it is, and frankly, the bottom line is that it's so offensive because of the fact that we're supposed to be in a free society.
Right.
And we're the only country that I know of in the world that codifies and sanctions hate speech. The First Amendment of the Constitution codifies, and that the First Amendment wasn't created to sanction speech that was going to be polite and acceptable to everyone.
And not offensive.
Yeah, it was saying that you should be allowed to have offensive speech. We need to restore the right to offensive speech in this country. We have to restore it, because if we don't, we're going to have the government eventually dictating what speech is going to be acceptable. And in fact, it's already doing that.
It already does that because
look at that married couple in Colorado that is being fined $150,000 because they were exercising hate speech by not making a wedding cake for a gay couple.
Right.
Well, you know what? First of all, in my opinion, that's not hate speech.
It's not. Well, first of all, where's the speech?
Well, how we vote, those type of things are an expression. It's nonverbal, but it's still communication.
Well, look, more to the point, in California, it was upheld that the school district could tell its students, its white students, they couldn't wear the American flag on Cinco de Mayo, on the 5th of May, because Mexican students were feeling threatened by these white students wearing a T-shirt with the American flag on it.
Yeah.
Now, we've reached this level of literal insanity. It is not sane to think that a country would say you can't wear a T-shirt with the American flag on it on the 5th of May, but you can wear a T-shirt with a Mexican flag on it. That's okay on the 5th of May in the United States of America. Yeah. That is insane. And it is insane for TV Land to think that they need to pull Dukes of Hazzard off of the air because somehow it's General Lee with the Confederate flag is hate speech. It's offensive. It's bigoted. It's racist. That show is none of those things.
It is none of those things.
And think of all the hundreds or thousands of people.
Although I think Boss Hogg was a racist.
Okay, maybe, but he was the bad guy.
He was the bad guy, just for the record.
Now, think of all the hundreds or even thousands of people who poured their hearts into making that show over the years. And now...
And that's how they were making their living now, a lot of them.
We were absolutely to shun them and not allow them to have their show on the air anymore just because of this kerfuffle going on in Charleston and really across the United States now. And I think that it is dangerous that we are filtering ourselves because we're afraid of what it's going to do to affect our business, our livelihood, our relationships with others in this country that is supposed to put. That's why the First Amendment is the First Amendment. It's the most important, followed by the Second Amendment.
Exactly. And the Second Amendment supports all the others.
So, but the First Amendment, the right to free speech.
So we're now the land of the fleeced and the home of the depraved.
Well, it seems like it. It seems like it. And coming up on the 4th of July. It's laughable,
actually. The United States is laughable. We are now, it's a joke. The United States has become a joke. And, here we are, hardcore enforcing laws that don't exist, and we are disregarding laws that are the pillars of our society, like the Bill of Rights. It's just bizarre to me.
It's infuriating. It's frustrating. It's upsetting. It's depressing. It's all these things. It's angering. And so I don't blame you one bit for taking pride in being able to unleash a little bit yesterday on that show and not use a filter and be proud of that. Listen, maybe you need to do more of that. Maybe we all need to do more of that. Respectfully, right? We don't have to be total jerks about it, but at least you know what?
And the more respectful we are, the more likely we are to change minds anyway. That's one of my objectives, obviously.
But we do have the right to be jerks.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I'm sorry, but if I want to speak like a hate mongering jerk, I have the right to do that.
You do.
Donald Trump has the right to say what he said about Mexicans. His belief is that people coming across the border in large numbers are not the best and brightest. They are kind of the bottom of the barrel. They're criminals, and they're causing a lot of pain and suffering here in our country. And I think he's got a point about that.
I would say probably a large number of those people meet the bill of what he described.
And he didn't say all of them.
I don't think all of them do.
He didn't say all of them, but the point is...
No, he said, I'm sure I assume there's some that are really good people. But the reality is that, it's people that have, and by the way, if I were in their plight, I'd be working my derriere off to get myself in the United States of America as well.
Right.
So, I have total sympathy, regardless of whether or not they're criminals or whatever. But again, in a free society, if you don't like it, take it out on him in the marketplace. What's interesting is I expect him now to buy a major store. This guy's a billionaire. I can see him putting the money together to buy a store, maybe not Macy's, to make sure his clothes continues to get out there, his brands continue to get out there. And the guy, what's been interesting...
He needs to come up with a Confederate flag
store
tie.
Yeah, tie.
Yeah, to sell. Just to rub it in, everybody.
Just to rub it in.
Or to make a Mexican flag tie.
Although I don't think that those are his values. So
No, or a Mexican flag tie. I mean, just because his values are he likes to kind of add fuel to the fire.
Put some salt on a wound.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has that capacity. But let me tell you, I'm sure you've noticed that a lot of our guests have been talking about Donald Trump, and they've been doing it in a very favorable way.
He's number 2 in the polls.
He's number 2 in New Hampshire, number 2 in Iowa, number 2 nationally. The guy is dominating the polls. The guy,
he's a populist, so it makes sense that polls are taken for the popular.
He's more than a populist because, what's his name? Bernie Sanders is a populist as well. It's the unfiltered populism that's resonating, I think, a lot with the American people. People are tired of people soft-selling their positions. They're tired of people qualifying what they say. They're tired of people being calculated about what they believe is to be true. They're tired of that. And Donald Trump doesn't do those things, and it resonates.
He's an entrepreneur and a capitalist.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is neither of those things. So
No,
Bernie
he's just a Marxist.
Sanders is a populist like Marx was a populist.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump is a populist, but he's approaching it from the perspective of capitalism rules, free market rules, corporate America ain't the bad guy.
Free speech rules.
Right. And so anyway,
free speech has become a hot issue. Dude.
He's going to take it on the chin. Right now, free speech is about as hot an issue as you can get.
Yeah.
Because of the gay marriage issue and everything else. The First Amendment, followed by the Second Amendment, and the 10th Amendment. Those three are really, really high up on the radar screen right now in our culture. And right now, they're all taking it on the chin, aren't they?
Yeah. And so I think our guests have been talking about it on that panel. Everyone talked in a really favorable context about Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't going to go all the way. He's not going to get the nomination. But let me tell you, he could change the way politics are done. And he could help restore some of our First Amendment rights by continuing to show the ludicrous nature of the way we approach speech today. He could change that.
But, well, if it were someone who was more respected than Donald Trump by, let's face it, the left and the media, it might happen. But they're like Ted Cruz and like so many other people, they've painted him into a box. He's a crazy.
Ted Cruz has painted Trump that way?
No. The media has painted Ted Cruz into a box.
Like Donald Trump.
And Donald Trump and Ben Carson, for that matter. They're crazy.
Yeah.
And so anything, the media's, you're never going to get any sort of slack from them. You're never going to get any sort of traction in the media while it's in its current ideological state, which is a left bent. So I don't personally think that Donald Trump is going to achieve a whole lot in terms of really making a difference. But
he's going to do is give people the courage to start speaking their mind.
Well, what he may do is turn people against the media. Now, wouldn't that be something?
That would be lovely. By the way, as someone who's been in the media almost my entire adult life, I encourage you to loathe and hate the media.
That's right.
The media is disgusting.
We both work in the media every day, but I'll tell you right now, the media isn't monolithic. Although the left media, the liberal media, is definitely the majority.
Vast majority.
There are some pockets of, of more objective or more center-right leaning thoughts and opinions. That's where I think if Americans start gravitating more towards that side, then maybe the media will be forced to change due to economic factors, free market factors. I don't know.
When we come back, we're going to have a little more for you, and we're going to have an interesting comment from one of the Dukes of Hazzard stars from Fox News just today. So make sure you stay tuned for that right here on The Price of Business.